everyone, and Trisha, it's me, Jenny, and this is another not naked video response to Trisha Hershberger, The Naked Truth, where we talk as candidly and as honestly and just, you know, as vulnerably as possible about a subject of Trisha Hershberger's audience's choice, and then Trisha picks it and then we talk about it in the Naked Army response. Yay! This week's subject is a slightly controversial one, which is marijuana, and I'm just gonna bullet point it a bit and then I'll go through it in more detail. Basically, I have never smoked marijuana. I don't intend to ever smoke marijuana. I think that marijuana has been proven by science to be of more medical benefit than it is of medical harm in comparison to other substances, both legal and illegal. And if it's out there, people are going people are going to have it regardless of its legality. For me, I remember very, very specifically in school having to take the symptoms and medical problems associated with something and put them with a set drug. There was a list of, you know, side effects, and there was a list of drugs, and we had to try and match them up, and consistently the ones that came out as the highest risk factors and the ones that caused the most harm were the legal ones, which is of course smoking and drinking. So again, marijuana came way down on that list. It was one of the least high risk things, and from everything that I've heard in the last few years, it has such extreme health benefits for people who are suffering from debilitating and or painful diseases and health issues. It's a comfort and a pain reliever, and in comparison to other substances it is much more side effect free. That's not to say it's perfect. Any mind altering drug, anything that involves inhalation of anything except oxygen, is a high risk. Anything that causes altering brain things, you know, should not be taken before handling heavy machinery or driving or in the presence of people with underdeveloped brains, or taken by people who have underdeveloped brains. I think I would be all for medical legalization of marijuana, where it is a controlled substance with an age limit, with very specific legal restrictions, as in not to be taken while driving, not to be taken while using heavy equipment, not to be taken in the presence of people with underdeveloped brains, not to be taken by people with underdeveloped brains, not to be sold to children or young people without very, very specific clauses. Just generally, if it's out there, it's going to be used. Prohibition did not work in the 20s. It created an entire subgenre of crime and a whole gangster warfare. Prostitution, a lot of things that came out of the Prohibition era are still really, really big problems, much, much more than alcohol was in many, many ways. So it's one of those things where if it's out there, it's going to be used. I think if it's going to be out there anyway, I'd like it to be controlled. I'd like very, very specific legalization rules. Obviously I live in England, so I'm not very up to date with the legal status of marijuana. I believe I think they keep on shifting the class around as to whether or not it's a you know, direct to jail offence or not. As I said, I've never smoked marijuana. I haven't really been in a situation where that has been pushed upon me, but it's one of those things that I don't think I ever would, and I think people need to respect that people are going to do it, no matter how much you tell them that they won't. But equally, if someone says, I don't want to have it in this situation, it needs to be respected. Like, if I was with a group of friends who were drinking and one of them was saying, I'm not drinking tonight, then I wouldn't push them on push them to have a drink, whether it's because of medical reasons or ethical reasons, moral reasons, or because they're the designated driver. I wouldn't push a drink on them if they didn't want it. Similarly, if people are going to smoke, they need to be respectful of the people around them, whether it's because they're young or they're vulnerable or they're just in a crowded space, or they're asthmatic, or they just don't want to participate. As long as people are empathetic, sensible, sane, and respectful, then I'm all for a semi-legalization of marijuana. Anyway, sorry if I rambled on for way too long. Sorry, I'm not actually getting sick, I'm just really tired. This is my morning throat. I stayed up very late last night, in fact into the early morning. I hung out with Phil, and then I hung out with you, Trisha, and we finally killed Dom, and it was awesome. And then I hung out with the Libra friends as well, and that was really fun. So if I'm looking worse than normal, it's because I'm using daylight as my lighting source, so everything's on display, and also I have some, you know, bags under my eyes and this thing going on. So yay! Yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop filming. Feel free to comment down below and tell me how much of an idiot I am. Tell me if you disagree, you do agree, you agree with some of my points and not some of my other points. This daily Trisha Hershberger Think Truth, I'm going to be trying to post these every Friday. Yeah. There we go. And if I don't have something to say about Trisha's topic, I will post another vlog of some kind on Friday. And feel free to give me a dislike. If you don't like what I'm saying, give me a dislike. It helps me prove that the internet is still working, that the code has not been broken. I like trolls because they make me realise that I am not been living in a magical bubble for years. Anyway, I'll see you guys all very soon. Bye Trisha. We finally killed Dom. It was awesome.